it's very difficult for them to come to the stage of pure devotional service that we observed in Vidrasura. In this material world, there are as many living entities as atoms. Among these living entities, a very few are human beings, and among them, few are interested in following religious principles. You see that, right? Few people are actually interested in following religious principles. Text 4. O best of the Brahmins, Shukadeva Goswami, out of many persons who follow religious principles, only a few desire liberation from the material world. Among many thousands who desire liberation, one may actually achieve liberation, giving up material attachment to society, friendship, love, country, home, wife, and children. And among many thousands of such liberated persons, one who can understand the true meaning of liberation is very rare. Does this remind anyone of a verse from Bhagavad Gita?
Yes. Manusyanam sahasreshu. I don't know the whole verse, but yeah.
Manusyanam sahasreshu kashchid yatati siddhare yatatam api siddhanam. What's the last one? Anyways, the idea is that out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So it's very similar here. So Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are very aligned, right? Same points are being repeated. So this is what the focus of this class is today, is the rareness of devotees. How exalted and rare devotees are in this world. That even amongst human beings which are already rare, there are a few who are in the mode of goodness. And out of those in the mode of goodness, a few aspire for liberation. And out of those few who even aspire for liberation or want to follow religious principles, only a few actually achieve liberation, achieve perfection. And out of those who achieve perfection, hardly one understands Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and devotional service to Krishna to be the ultimate goal of life. So, continuing with this theme, we're going to read text 5 in Sanskrit and then purport. So please repeat. Muktanam api siddhanam.
Muktanam api siddhanam. Narayana parayana. Sudurlabha prashantatma. Kotishvapi mahamune. Muktanam api siddhanam. Narayana parayana. Sudurlabha prashantatma. Kotishvapi mahamune. Muktanam api siddhanam. Narayana parayana. Sudurlabha prashantatma. Kotishvapi mahamune. Muktanam api siddhanam. Narayana parayana. Sudurlabha prashantatma. Kotishvapi mahamune.
Muktanam api siddhanam.
Muktanam api siddhanam. Narayana parayana. Narayana parayana. Sudurlabha prashantatma. Sudurlabha prashantatma. Kotishvapi mahamune. Muktanam api siddhanam. Narayana parayana. Sudurlabha prashantatma. Kotishvapi mahamune. Muktanam, of those who are liberated during this life, who are unattached to the bodily comforts of society, friendship, and love. Api, even Siddhana, who are perfect because they understand the insignificance of bodily comforts. Narayana Parayana, A person who has concluded that Narayana is supreme, Sudurlabha, is very rarely found. Prashanta, fully verified, Atma, whose mind, Kotishva, out of millions trillions, Api, even, Mahamune, O great sage.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. So, please read the first paragraph from the purport. Yes, Venkatesh.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following purport to this verse. Simply desiring mukti or liberation is insufficient. One must become factually liberated. When one understands the futility of materialistic way of life, one becomes advanced in knowledge and therefore he situated himself in the Vanaprastha order, unattached to family, wife and children. One should then further progress to the platform of sannyasa, the actual renounced order, never to fall again and be afflicted by materialistic life. Even though one desires to be liberated, this does not mean he is liberated. Only rarely is someone liberated. Indeed, although many men take sannyasa to become liberated because of their imperfections, they again become attached to women, material activities, social welfare, work, and so on.
Jnani yogis and karmis devoid of devotional service are all offenders. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Krishna Prati. One who thinks that everything is Maya instead of thinking that everything is Krishna is called a Prati, or offender. Although the Mayavadis, impersonalists, are offenders at the lotus feet of Krishna, they may nonetheless be counted among the Siddhas, those who have realized the self. They may be considered near to spiritual perfection because at least they have realized what spiritual life is. If such a person becomes Narayan, devotee of Lord Narayan, he is better than Jiva Mukta, one who is liberated or perfect. This requires high intelligence.
There are two kinds of jnanis. One is implied devotional service and the other to impersonal realization. Impersonalists generally undergo great endeavor for no tangible benefit, and therefore it is said that they are husky, fatty, and has no grain. Sula Tasvakatani Gatani Na. The other class of jnanis whose jnana is mixed with bhakti are also of two kinds. Those who are devoted to the so-called false form of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those who understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Satchit Anand Vigraha, the actual spiritual form. The Mayavadi devotee worship Narayana or Vishnu with the idea that Vishnu has accepted a form of Maya and that the ultimate truth is actually impersonal. The pure devotee, however, never thinks that Vishnu has accepted a body of Maya. Instead, he knows perfection. But he knows perfectly well that the original absolute truth is the Supreme Person. Such a devotee is actually situated in knowledge. He never merges in the Brahman effulgence, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.3.
This all together.
O Lord, the intelligence of those who think themselves liberated, but who have no devotion is impure. Even though they rise to the highest point of liberation by dint of severe penances and austerities, they are sure to fall down again into material existence, for they do not take shelter after those. Evidence of the same point is also given in Bhagavad Gita 9.11, wherein the Lord says,
Ajanati Mamuda Sacharam.
Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. When rascals, Buddhas, see that Krishna acts exactly like a human being, they deride the transcendental form of the Lord because they do not know the Parambhava, his transcendental form and activities. Such persons are further described in Bhagavad Gita 9.12 as follows.
Moksha mokha karmano mokha jnana vichetasa rakshasam asuram chaiva prakritim mohinim sritaha.
Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberations, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Such persons do not know that Krishna's body is not material. There is no distinction between Krishna's body and his soul, but because less intelligent men see Krishna as a human being, they deride him. They cannot imagine how a person like Krishna could be the origin of everything. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajam. Such persons are described as Moghasha, baffled in their hopes. Whatever they desire for the future will be baffled. Even if they apparently engage in devotional service, they are described as Moghasha because they ultimately desire to merge into the Brahman effulgence.
Those who aspire to be elevated to heavenly planets by devotional service will also be frustrated because this is not the result of devotional service. However, they are also given a chance to engage in devotional service and be purified, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17. Srimad Bhagavatam Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayante Stohi Abhaddani Vidante Satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Super Soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
Unless the dirt within the core of one's heart is cleansed away, one cannot become a pure devotee. Therefore, the word Sudurlabha, very rarely found, is used in this verse. Not only among hundreds and thousands, but among millions of perfectly liberated souls, a pure devotee is hardly ever found. Therefore, the words Kutish Api are used herein. Srila Madhvacharya gives the following quotations from the Kanda Bhagavata.
Namo Krishnam Vashashtapopaya Narayanaya Sarvai Yeke Chittaparayana.
There are 90 million demigods and 70 million sages who are all called Narayana, devotees of Lord Narayan. Among them, only a few are called Narayana Barayana.
Narayana Deva Krishaya Sarvarayana Ramaya Kichanaya Vashu Siddha Yoga Sukambhava.
The difference between the Siddhas and Narayana Parayanas is that direct devotees are called Narayana Parayanas, whereas those who perform various types of mystic yoga are called Siddhas.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
We got some good practice there with our Sanskrit. A lot of Prabhupada quoted a lot of verses. So yeah, this is a very important point. So it's glorifying the position of the devotees above all other kinds of transcendentalists. So there are different kinds of transcendentalists. The transcendentalist is one who realizes that they're not the body, that they're a spirit soul, and that the soul is transcendental to the material world. So these transcendentalists come in different categories, like the impersonalists, or jnanis, or transcendentalists. Through knowledge, they realize their spiritual self, and they give up their attachment to this material world. And then there are the yogis, who go through the different stages of Ashtanga yoga, and they meditate on the Lord within the heart, and they realize that they're also a spirit soul. They're situated in the heart, and they have nothing to do with this material world. And then they of the jnanis and the yogis is liberation. But the bhaktas, the devotees, we also realize that we're not the body, that we have nothing to do with this material world, but we take it a step beyond that, right? It's not, our goal is not just to become free from repeated birth and death and free from the miseries of this material world, but our goal is to serve Krishna. And the happiness that comes from serving Krishna purely is much, much better than the happiness of liberation. And there's three kinds of happiness. Happiness from material sense pleasure, happiness from impersonal liberation, and happiness from pure devotional service. So the happiness from material sense gratification is compared to a drop of water in the desert, Prabhupada says. So if you're in a desert, it's hot, it's dry, you're parched and dying of thirst, and then you get a little drop of water in your hand. And you get some hope that, wow, I have some water here, this is going to save me. But before you can even sip the drop of water, it evaporates because it's so hot and dry in the desert. So that's material happiness. There's some glittering, some hope, maybe some promises that if you do this, if you get that, if you go there, you'll be happy. But we never taste it. We never taste it. It's just the hope. It's like the carrot, in front of the donkey. The donkey's walking, trying to get, I'm gonna get that carrot, I'm gonna get that carrot. And he's working like an ass, walking all day, carrying heavy loads, and he never gets the carrot. And he's got these blinders on, so he doesn't see that all along the roadside, there are lush green fields, and if he could just stop chasing that carrot, he could enjoy all kinds of food there. So that's the ridiculous situation of someone who's chasing after material happiness. So it's a very low standard of pleasure. And so the drop of water in the desert. Then the happiness of liberation, the Brahmananda, is compared to the water that's contained in the hoof print of a calf. So like a calf is walking along the field and there's some mud there, then its foot sinks down, its hoof sinks down to the mud, and then the rain fills up that little hoof print, and that's the amount of water. So it's a little better than a drop. It's something, but it's not much, right? It's not much at all. Compared to material happiness, it looks amazing because there's so many drops in that hoof print. It's like, wow, it's practically unlimited compared to material happiness. So impersonalists, they get very excited about the happiness of Brahmananda because compared to material happiness, it's like, wow, this is like the next level, this is the ultimate happiness. But the happiness that is available to a loving relationship with Krishna and rendering pure devotional service to Krishna is like an ocean. So what to speak of the drop, what to speak of even the water in the footprint of a calf. Whole ocean, it's like unlimited, ever-increasing happiness of pure devotional service. So that's what these jnanis and yogis and materialists don't know. They don't know that there's this amazing higher standard of happiness which is unlimited and which goes on increasing forever. So that's what anybody who's truly wise in this world is searching after. And that we experience that happiness by giving happiness to Krishna. And that's the secret to happiness. When Krishna is pleased, then we'll be happy. So this Sudurlabha, very rare, is a characteristic of devotees. And it's a characteristic of devotees and only devotees. Because materialists are like a dime a dozen. Very common, right? Even those who have attained liberation from the material world, they're a little more rare, but still, there's many of them, and there's all different kinds of them, right? And we were just talking about the personalists, the yogis, jnanis. So, in nectar devotion, the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service are given. And so the first two, the two that appear at the stage of sadhana bhakti, does anyone know what they are? Done Bhakti Shastri? So the two characteristics of devotional service that appear at the stage of sadhana bhakti are kleshagni and subhada. So kleshagni means the removal of material distress. No more material distress. And subhada means that your life becomes auspicious. So these two characteristics are attainable by any transcendentalists. Right? So even impersonalists, even yogis, by transcending material activities and realizing that they're spirit souls, they become aloof from material distress. So they don't suffer in the same way that materialists do. And also their life becomes auspicious because it's on the spiritual platform. They live goodness or transcendental goodness, they live a pure life, a clean life, a blessed life, a very auspicious life. But then it's not until the stage, and devotees also, right? Devotees also, so these are we experience these at the beginning of sadhana bhakti, that we get free from material miseries to a large degree. Many of us are suffering a lot, and that's actually what brought us to Krishna consciousness, is like realizing the miseries of this world. And then as soon as we come to bhakti, we move into the ashram, it's like, whoosh, peaceful life, it's so much better. And it becomes auspicious, so much hope, such a bright future. Yeah,
Mataji, the yogis, jnanis, and bhaktas, their path is different, but their destination is same, or
no,
destination is different?
yeah, we're getting to that. Yeah, I've kind of mentioned that the destination of the yogis and jnanis is impersonal liberation. It's like nirvana or kaivalya, becoming one, merging into the Brahma Jyoti, just becoming a spark, spiritual spark, and a spiritual effulgence like that.
That's also Krishna, that's separate from Krishna.
That's also a feature of Krishna, but it's the impersonal feature of Krishna. Yeah, nothing is separate from Krishna. So that's considered to be the rays of Krishna's effulgence. And that's why, like, at the end of the Sri Upanishad, the devotee is praying that please, I'm being blinded by the rays of your effulgence, and I can't see beyond it. So please remove this, please dim the light, of your effulgence, so that I can see your personal form of bliss. That's what I want to connect with. This effulgence of the Lord it's getting in the way. It's like, just clear that out so that I can see you, the source of the effulgence, personal, transcendental form of Govinda, that I can serve you. So those are the first two characteristics of pure devotional service any transcendentalist will experience. But the next two that occur at the stage of Bhava Bhakti, when a devotee starts to experience some emotion for Krishna, some emotional connection to Krishna, the two stages are Moksha Lagruta Krit, which means no attraction to liberation. It just derives the whole concept of liberation. In other words, a devotee is not interested in liberation. So this is, the goal of the jnanis and yogis is to get liberation from the material world. But for devotees, it's like, I don't need liberation. I just want to serve Krishna wherever I am. Because for a devotee who's engaging in pure devotional service, heaven, hell, and liberation, they're all the same. So whether I serve Krishna in heaven, whether I serve Krishna on earth, even if I serve Krishna in the liberated state, or if I serve Krishna even in hell, it's all the same. Because the happiness of serving Krishna is the same everywhere. The devotee doesn't even aspire for liberation. And so that's one of the qualities at Bhava Bhakti is Moksha Lagruta Krit. And the other one is the one that we're talking about that's mentioned in the Sanskrit here, Sudurlabha. That is very rare. So that's the stage at which this Sudurlabha quality comes in. It's at the second stage of devotional service, or second stage of Bhakti, which is Bhava Bhakti, where you really awaken your love for Krishna, experiencing actual love for Krishna. It's very, very rare in this world, that somebody develops such an intense attraction for Krishna that loving feelings awaken. But that's only the second level of devotional service. The third level is prema bhakti, where love becomes fully bloomed. And so the characteristics that manifest at that state are sandrananda visheshatma. So it's got that word ananda. And vishesha means special. It's a special kind of ananda. So that's what we're talking about, the ocean, an ever-increasing ocean of transcendental bliss that comes from bhakti, from chanting the holy names. Enables us to taste the nectar. That's the nectar for which we're always anxious, right? That's what Chaitanya talks about in Shikshastika. And the other characteristic at that stage is Sri Krishna Karshini, which means that the devotion of the devotee attracts Krishna. So Krishna is all attractive, but Krishna is attracted by pure devotion. Right? And so Krishna is called Madan Mohan, which means the person who bewilders Cupid. He attracts the mind of even Cupid. Cupid is attracting the mind of everyone, but Krishna is attracting the mind of Cupid. But then Srimati Radharani, who is the best devotee, she's called Madan Mohan Mohini. That she bewilders the mind of that person who bewilders the mind of Cupid, who bewilders the mind of everyone in the material world. So the position of the devotee is so exalted that the devotion, pure devotional service, at the stage of Prema Bhakti attracts even Krishna, Shri Krishna Karshini. So that's very, very rare. Like even Bhava Bhakti is Sudurlabha, is very rare. So Prema Bhakti is Sudurlabha, very, very rare. And so that's our goal. That's our goal. The Jnanis and the impersonalists, the yogis, they're going for liberation. We're not interested in liberation. We're interested in pure devotional service. We're interested in having pure love for Krishna, engaging in 6 loving exchanges with Krishna and his pure devotees in the spiritual world. Yeah. And it's interesting that even Jnanis and yogis, some of them, they actually perform devotional service, but as a means to the end of liberation. And they just take it as the means. But the result that they're trying to achieve through the means of devotional service, like worshipping the deity, chanting mantras, and like that, is liberation. So at the end, Prabhupada gives this example that they climb a ladder to get to a certain, to get to the roof of the building, and when they get to the roof, they throw away the ladder. They don't need the ladder anymore because they're there, right? The ladder is useless when you've already gotten there, and they don't want to go back down, they just want to stay there. So Prabhupada gives that example that they use devotional service like a ladder, but when they get to liberation, they throw away, they stop doing devotional service. One time Prabhupada did a very dramatic illustration of this when he was with his devotees. They were in Mayapur and they were walking near the Ganga, and so they walked up this, they had to get up this embankment. So one of Prabhupada's disciples he was holding his hand, he was standing on the top of the embankment, and he went up there quickly to be able to offer his hand to Prabhupada to help him up. And so Prabhupada got his hand, and then the devotee, Prabhupada was walking up, the devotee was pulling him, and as soon as Prabhupada got to the top of the bank, then he was still holding the hand of the devotee, and he went, and he threw the devotee down. And the devotee was lying on his back on the ground down there, like what the heck, Prabhupada? He didn't say that, but he was like, why? And Prabhupada said, this is what the Mayavadis do. This is what the Mayavadis do. They use the spiritual master, they use the process of devotional service to get to an exalted platform, the transcendental platform, and as soon as they get there, they kick him away. They throw him away. They think they don't need him anymore. So you can see how it's very offensive. That's why Prabhupada says that these Mayavadi Krishna aparadi, right? The Mayavadis are offensive because they offend Krishna by just basically exploiting the process of devotional service and then rejecting it as if it's useless.
There is this pastime of in Krishna book where Krishna goes to the Brahman's home and they're doing some of the sacrifices and they give Krishna anything and then Krishna goes to the wives.
Yeah.
So the process that they're performing is actually
They're doing karma kanda. Yeah, they're doing karma kanda to get material results. So they're not interested in Krishna, they're just interested. Yeah, I mean that's even lower class of people that they're just materialists, and they make use of the Vedic literatures to try to get material things. But just in general, even materialists, jnanis, yogis, they're not interested in Krishna. Right? They're just not interested. And most people are like that. It's like, one time I was asking a question that there's so many Christians, they're approaching God, they're praying to God. Why don't they realize, why doesn't God reveal himself to them as Krishna? Why doesn't he realize his name? Or why doesn't he reveal his name, form, qualities, and pastimes to them? So I asked this question in the class one time. The devotee said, he doesn't reveal all that to them because they're not interested. They just don't want to know. They don't want a loving relationship with God. What they're interested in is the things that God can give them. Right? And actually, I was just, the other day I was chanting in the temple room upstairs and I was reading some of those little papers that devotees offer to Jagannath, and it's like, it was actually like kind of discouraging because a lot of them, most of them, or at least half of them, I didn't read all of them, but many of them would say, I just, dear Lord, please, I hate my job, please give me another job. I really want to have a job, can you please do that for me? Or, it's just like material requests.
One of them says like, I want to start gym again.
Going to the gym? Yeah. So it's just like, come on guys. Here's the Lord. He can give you liberation. He can give you pure devotional service. He can bring you back home, back to Godhead. And you want to go to the gym? You just want an IT job. It's like this man who's carrying a big. It's a woman. She's carrying this big bundle of sticks. You see, if you go to India, you see these village women. They'll go to the field and collect so many sticks, and they'll be carrying them to use for their cooking and all that when they get home. She's got this huge bundle of sticks, and she's walking, and then she trips and she stumbles. She doesn't fall, but she stumbles, and she does her balance, and the sticks fall off her head. So the bundle was so heavy that there was a bunch of women that were helping get sticks, and so the ladies help each other to get the sticks up there, and then they walk to their respective homes. So, but she was alone, and she was like, oh no, I can't get them back up on my head, I can't carry it another way. So then, actually, the Lord appears to her, and he's like, oh, I'm so pleased with your piety and your dutiful attitude towards your family and your cooperation amongst the other women here in the village, and I'd like to give you a benediction. So the Supreme Lord said she could ask any benediction. She could ask, for pure love for Krishna. She could ask to go back home, back to Godhead. She could ask for anything, imaginable. And she says, dear Lord, thank you so much. You're so kind, so merciful to appear before me at this time of need. Yes, the benediction that I ask is, can you please just put this bundle of sticks back on my head? So it's like, we're so short-sighted, we're so just entrenched in the material world that we can't even think beyond it most of the time. So that's our unfortunate position. Yeah.
So, you mentioned about how Prima is very valuable. Not able to recall, but I've read somewhere there are two types of Prima. And out of them, which one does what?
Yeah. So there's Prema Bhakti, there's Kevala Prem, and then there's Aishvarya, something like what's it called? Aishvarya, Aishvarya Jnana Prem. Yeah, Kevala Prem and Aishvarya Jnana Prem. So both are love for Krishna, but Aishvarya Jnana Prem means that your love is mixed with knowledge of Krishna's opulence. That this is like the love of the inhabitants of Dwarka. That they love Krishna, they have their family members, the queens of Dwarka, the sons and grandsons of Krishna, the other residents like Uddhava in Dwarka. They love Krishna for sure. It's not just on reverence, but their love is tinged with they love Krishna at the same time they're aware that he's the Supreme Personality of God. So Aishwarya means opulence and Jnana means knowledge. So they know about Krishna's opulences, that he's all powerful, that he's all knowing, that he's the Supreme Controller, that he's the Lord of all planets and demigods. And so that's one type of love. And then Kevala Prem is, Kevala means only. It means alone. So it's just prema. Like so that's the Kevala Prema is the prema of the Vrajavasis. That they don't know that Krishna is God. They don't care if Krishna is God. the concept of Krishna's godliness just doesn't enter their consciousness. They just love Krishna for who he is, not for what he can do or what he has done, or because he's glorious, or because he's wealthy, because he's Bhagavan. They just love Krishna because Krishna is wonderful, because he's charming, because he's sweet, because he's Krishna. That's it. So that's capable of praying.
The second one is Mahim Jnana Yukta Prema.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, good.
So, we Bhagavatam, like Krishna has so many items that he's so free, and we are practicing sadhana bhakti right now. So let's say Lord is very serious and the mercy of spiritual master one day we get freedom. So what will depend which type of freedom is the case on the mood or it's like something
Your own mood, yeah, own mood. Yeah, as you get to the higher levels of bhakti, then your inherent relationship with Krishna starts to manifest. So if your eternal constitutional position in the spiritual world is in Vrindavan, then you're going to develop that spontaneous attraction following in the footsteps of the Brajavasis, and you're going to come to Kevalam. If your constitutional position is in Dwarka, then you'll follow in the footsteps of the queens of Dwarka, other associates of Dwarka, in the stage of Raganuga sadhana bhakti, and then your bhakti will develop in that mode of, Mahatmya.
So, Mahim Jnana Yukta Prema, love mixed with knowledge, awe and reverential worship.
Okay, so love mixed with knowledge of reverential worship. There you go. Kevala Prem, unalloyed love, and Mahim Jnana. Yeah, Mahim just means greatness. Mahim Jnana, so you know about Krishna's greatness, and your praying is mixed with that. All right. So, yeah. So what about these materialists and people who are not really interested in Krishna, but these devotees, people who come to the temple and ask Lord Jagannath's blessings to, go to the gym or get a nice food job. So what about them? What happens to them? That's also okay, right? Krishna says that the Chatur Vidha Bhajante Mam, Jana Supriti Arjuna, Arto Artarti Jigyasi, Arto Jigyasi, Artarti, Yani Cha Bharatarshava. Yeah. And there are four kinds of people that approach him, four kinds of pious people that approach him, and those who desire material things are okay.
Right.
They're okay. Krishna says that they're okay. They're pious, and I accept them. So also in Bhagavatam it says Akama Sarva Kama Va Moksha Kama Vidarati Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Vijeta Purusham Param. That it doesn't matter what your desires are. Whether you have no desires, Akama, whether you have all material desires, Sarva Kama, whether you're totally full of lust and material desires, or whether you're moksha kama, whether you're desiring liberation like the Jnanis and yogis. Don't worry about that too much. Just perform devotional service. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Just do intense devotional service, and everything will be taken care of. Because like Prabhupada was quoting in this purport, Srimvatam Swakata Krishna Punyushavani Kirtanam Vidyantasto Hilabrani Vidunoti Sugisitam. That if we just somehow or other approach Krishna, associate with devotees who speak about Krishna, hear about Krishna, hear Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees, then all those material desires, everything that's inauspicious within the heart, will be automatically removed by the mercy of Krishna. Because Krishna is in the heart, and he cleanses the desires for material enjoyment from within his heart. So, and those people gradually become devotees, like Dhruva Maharaj, right? He was full of material desires. He also wasn't interested in Krishna at all. He was just interested in getting a kingdom. But by good fortune, he met a devotee, Narada Muni, who said, okay, you have this material desire. If you want to fulfill it, this is what you do. Worship Krishna. Chant the names of Krishna. And so Dhruva Maharaj was like, all right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get my kingdom. So he did all those things, and he got his kingdom, and he also got pure devotional service. So that's the mercy of the devotee, that devotees will always just push us to devotional service no matter what our situation is. There are many examples of materialists who became devotees by meeting a devotee. There are many examples of impersonalists who became devotees by hearing from devotees. And even Mayavadis who became devotees, like Prakashananda Saraswati was the leader of the Mayavadis in Varanasi, and he met Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya spoke to him about Krishna consciousness, about bhakti, and he became a devotee. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a big impersonalist living in Jagannath Puri, and by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, he also became a devotee. And Shukadeva Goswami, when he would first appear, even he was attached to the concept of oneness. Even he was an impersonalist. But then he heard, he just was born and he wanted nothing to do with family life, nothing to do with the material world. He just took off to the forest to meditate on Brahman. And his father was Srila Vyasadeva, who had just compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. He was like, no, my son has to become a devotee. So he sent some disciples to find him there in the forest. And they went there and they were reciting some very sweet verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Krishna's, the glories of Krishna. And Shukadeva Goswami's mind became attracted. So one of those verses was about how merciful Krishna was to Putana. Aho Vakiyam Stanakala Kutam Jigam Sayadhayaya Apyasadvi Lekhe Gatim Dachyutitam Tatonyam Kamba Dayalum Sharanam Rajema. So he says, how can I take shelter of someone more merciful than Krishna, who gave this she-demon, this demoness who came to kill him, a position in Goloka Vrindavan as his nurse, assistant to Mother Yashoda, taking care of baby Krishna. It's like, so she came to kill him. She had no intention to serve him. So you can see that from this, that the quality of Krishna is that he overlooks all the faults. You know, we can have 1,000,000 faults. Krishna doesn't care. If we have one little tinge of devotion for him, one little tinge of a desire to serve him, he sees only that, and he founds the spark of that good quality, and he takes us back to Godhead just by dint of that one tiny little whiff of a good quality. Like Putana, because when she picked up Krishna to feed him, she was just like, oh, he's so beautiful. and she had a tiny little hint as she was trying to kill him. Even while she was trying to kill him, she had a little hint of motherly affection. And so Krishna gave her a position like a motherly affection, spiritual. So this instance proves the glories of devotional service. Proves that Krishna's pastimes, hearing about Krishna, it's higher than liberation. Because even liberated personalities like Shukadeva Goswami are attracted to hear the pastimes of Krishna. There's that famous verse. Atmaramas Chamunayo Nirgranta Apuruframe Purvantya Haiktukim Bhakti Itam Bhuta Guno Hari. That Atmaramas, even liberated people who are totally satisfied in self. They're self-realized. They want nothing from this world. Nirgranta means they have no interest in this material world. But even they perform a haituki bhakti. They perform unalloyed devotional service. Why? Because itam bhutam guno hari. Because Hari, Lord Krishna, has such wonderful qualities. Itam bhuta means wonderful, such wonderful guna qualities. They're just attracted to the wonderful qualities of Krishna. So, the beginning of Nectar Devotion, Srila Prabhupada talks about how Sanatana Goswami, when he came to the liberated, he had asked this question to Lord Chaitanya. He said that after liberation, what is to be done? You know, what are the activities in the liberated state? Because liberation basically means, if you think of like a thermometer, right? So here's 0, freezing point, right? And so negative, all the negative numbers below 0, that's like, or let's say, no, let's not use it. Let's say the 0 point represents like being healthy, like a healthy person, physically healthy person. So if you're sick, then you're below healthy, right? You're a little sick, quite sick, very sick, extremely sick, dying, right? Okay, so in those stages, all these stages below the line here, you're suffering. So this is material life, right? Material disease, some people are suffering more, it's all relative, but there are all degrees of suffering. So liberation means you come to the zero, right? You come to, you're not suffering anymore. But you're also not really like doing anything, you know? You're just kind of like in this limbo state of, okay, material life is over and I'm a soul and then after being a soul. But so Sanatana Swami says, when you get to that point, then what? Like, then what? Then what do you do? And then Lord Chaitanya says, yes, that's when devotional service begins. So then you start serving Krishna in different ways, and you become active on the spiritual platform, and then it's not just that you're not suffering anymore, but you're actually experiencing ever-increasing bliss as you advance in devotional service. Yes.
Mataji, the Mayavadis, they also have gurus, and they are also surrendered to the gurus, and they also do have the service mood. So they don't know who exactly Krishna is, but indirectly they are supporting him only.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the Mayavadis, they know about Krishna, but they think that Krishna is an ordinary person. That's what Prabhupada was talking about. They think that when Krishna comes to this world, they think that the supreme, the ultimate truth is Brahman. But sometimes Brahman takes on a temporary human form, a temporary material human form, like we have temporary material human bodies, and performs pastimes in this world to attract, people who need some material thing to relate to, and then they get interested in Krishna. But ultimately, they realize that they are one with Brahman, and that's the goal of life, and they don't need Krishna anymore. That's the Mayavadi conception. That's why it's offensive, because they think Krishna is an ordinary person, and we, make use of Krishna, we worship Krishna while we're, becoming purified and getting free from Maya, but then in the end we don't need Krishna. We don't need anybody, we're just naraying ourselves.
And also, Dhruv Maharaj, he did not have materialistic desires, or just like his materialistic desires were not for sense gratification. It was like he was disrespected by his mother and father. Just wanted to have the love that he deserved,
Yeah.
the respect that he deserved.
Yeah, but it was still a material desire. Not necessarily that he wanted the comforts and that, but he wanted the fame, he wanted the position, he wanted the recognition that he was great, right? He was insulted, he was personally insulted. And he wanted to prove to them that you're pushing me off your lap, thinking that I'm unqualified. No, I'm the most qualified. You're going to see that I'm the most highly qualified. Even I'm going to have a position greater than my father, greater than even my grandfather. So that was his motivation. It was like out of pride, Kshatriya pride. So that was a subtle. There's gross material desires and subtle material desires. So that was a subtle material desire, but still material. But by following the process given to him by Narada Muni, then he got purified of his material desire, to the extent that when Lord Vishnu appeared before him, he felt ashamed of himself for ever having had that desire. And he said, I was approaching you for pieces of broken glass, but you could give me a diamond. So please, I don't want that anymore. Just give me pure devotion at your lotus feet. So that's the power of bhakti. And that's why I advise that even if you do a material, just worship Krishna, just perform bhakti yoga, because those things will go away. And you'll just have, what will remain is your inherent pure devotion for me only, and then you'll obtain the goal of life. So, we've seen how many impersonalists become devotees, but devotees never become personalists. We don't see any examples of devotees becoming impersonalists. Because once you've tasted the bliss of bhakti, you just can't go back to that dry, stale, lower level of happiness. And so there's this very nice verse from Prabhupada Saraswati. He says, Kaivalyam narake tridashram, Kaivalyam narakayate tridashapur akasha pushpayate Durdantendriya kala sarpapatali Pravatkata damstrayate Vishvam purnam sukayate vidimahen Radhishchatkitayate Yakarunya kataksha bhagavatam Tam gorameva stuma. So it says Kaivalyam narakayate. Kaivalya means oneness, means the impersonal liberation, and Naraka means hell. It says for a devotee. So these are all characteristics of Yat Karunya Kataksha, one who has received the merciful glance of Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada Saraswati was a devotee of Lord Chaitanya, and so he's glorified. Then one who has received the merciful glance of Lord Chaitanya, this is the mentality. That Kaivalya Narakarte, the concept of impersonal liberation is like hell. I'd rather go to hell and serve Krishna there than to go merge with Brahman. And then Sri Dashapur Akasha Pushpayate, the heavenly planets of the demigods are like flowers in the sky. Right? Akash means the sky, and Pushpa means flower. It's like sky flowers. In other words, useless. It doesn't exist. It's just, what Prabhupada would say, phantasmagoria. It's just a fantasy. It's never going to give you any happiness. And then it says, Durdan Tendriya Kala Sarpa Patali. The senses, the indriya, the senses, which are normally like snakes, like black snakes with poison teeth that just bite you and harm you. That those poison teeth become broken. The poison teeth are broken, so that means that we can use our senses. We still have the senses, but the poison is removed. The poisonous part is the teeth are broken. So we can still use these bodies by serving Krishna, but the senses don't degrade us. And then Vishvam Purna Sukhayate. This whole world becomes full of happiness because we just come to see everything in this world as paraphernalia to be engaged in the service of the Lord. We see all living entities as eternal servants of Krishna, and that we're just trying to connect to the Lord. We use everything, we engage everyone in the service of the Lord. We try to connect everything in this world to the service of the Lord. And so this world becomes like just like full of happiness. Purna means complete, and Sukhayate means happiness. Completely happy in this world. And then Vidhi Mahendradis. So Vidhi here is referring to Lord Brahma, and Mahendra is Lord Indra. So all the demigods, and then Adi. So all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Indra. Kitayate. Kita means insect. They're no more significant than insects compared to Krishna. So I'm not interested in worshiping demigods. I'm not interested in anything that the demigods can offer me because all those things are limited and temporary. All I'm interested in is pure devotional service and love for Krishna. So these are the glories of someone who has achieved the merciful glance of Lord Chaitanya, and it's a very, very rare position. So, and this position comes only through association with devotees. So we've seen in all the examples, all the impersonalists who became, Shukadeva Goswami became a devotee by hearing from the disciples of Vyasadeva who were devotees. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Prakashananda Saraswati became devotees by hearing from Lord Chaitanya, who was taking that role of a devotee. Dhruva Maharaj became a devotee by meeting Narada Muni, the devotee. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in Madhurya Kadambini that Bhaktya Sanjayate Bhaktya, that devotion comes from devotion. The only way you can get bhakti is from someone who already has bhakti. And bhakti is not taught, it is caught. You have to catch it. You have to find someone who has it, and you have to catch it from them. So that's why association with devotees is so, so important. So we have to find a devotee, we have to find one of those rare souls in this world, and just associate with them. It's just like when I was a child, when I had chicken pox. And chicken pox is this disease that you get itchy all over the body. It's highly contagious. So if you get chicken pox when you're a small child, you just, you get this rash for a few days, you get a little fever, it goes away. But if you get chickenpox when you're old, then it can kill you. It's in old age, it's very dangerous. So I remember when I had chickenpox, my mother had a friend who had small children, and she said, oh, can my small children come over and play with your daughter so they can also get chickenpox? I was like, why would kids get chickenpox? And then they explained, because later it can be very dangerous. Better to get it now. Good chance they're going to get it sometime. Better sooner than later. So by association with a person, all you need to do to get chickenpox is to associate with the person. Just play together with a child who has chickenpox, you get chickenpox. So the way to get bhakti is to just associate with devotees. Just play together. Just do kirtan and hear class and do service, and you'll get bhakti. So we're very fortunate that here we're sitting in a whole room full of these Sudurlabha personalities, very rare souls who are aspiring for devotional service, who are interested in Krishna, who are practicing bhakti. And so that's evidence that we've all gotten the Karunya Kataksha. We've all gotten the merciful glance of Lord Chaitanya. And so we need to spread that mercy to other people. We need to go out and give association to people who have never met a devotee in their life. And we'll have a very hard time finding one if we just stay here in the temple, right? So we need to go out and meet people in the streets, at universities, in festivals, and everywhere, and give them the holy name, talk to them, give them books so that they can associate with Srila Prabhupada, a pure devotee through his books. And in this way we can please Krishna, please the disciplic succession, and make everybody's life auspicious. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any last remaining questions? And it's getting late and it's a busy day.
There is a question from broadcasting.
Okay.
One of the devotee was asking how can I increase my bhakti? So you covered that.
Now associate with devotees, engage in devotional service, and give Krishna consciousness to others, and then we get the merciful glance of Lord Chaitanya. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.